Lesson 3, disrupting the standing passer's game. Now, ideally, I'm not going to let him stand under any circumstances, but that's going to be covered in a future lesson. For this lesson, we're going to cover when he's able to stand and how to disrupt that. There's going to be 4 techniques covered in this section. The first is going to be the standard stand-up, where he pins your arm and he stands up. 2, where he controls your armpit, he tripods up, and then he sits on his knee, forcing his knee into the closed guard position, forcing you to open your guard. 4, where your opponent pops up and does the wide base. So he pops up into a wide base. And 5 is when he manages to stand and he puts his quads right on your hamstrings, so right in the back. Here's the first technique. Most common way people pass. They control the lapels together, they control one arm. It's important that you know how to disrupt this game. Now, he's going to stand with the same side he's pinning because he doesn't want me underhooking it. Now, here's when I do this grip break. I call this the wax on, because I'm going to take this grip that's pinned here, and I'm going to go to the outside, and I'm going to circle my thumb underneath. Thumb comes underneath his wrist, and then I'm going to torque his fingers. If his fingers get caught, it has the potential to break his fingers. So right here, circle, and here.
Wax on, right hand. Wax off, left hand.
So it's important the timing of this move. So he comes back to the sitting guard position. He manages to pin your wrist. Now he stands. Right now is when I want to do it. Right as he starts to stand with this one. So go ahead and stand right here. Because he was relying so much on pinning my arm down, there's so many sweeps I can do. So sensing the danger, my opponent collapses down to the sitting guard position. If he doesn't, we're going to cover some attacks in future lessons. But right now, this fits into our goal of disrupting our standing opponent's game. Now, the second most common way that your opponent might choose to pass your guard standing is he controls my armpits down, he pops up, and he's going to work to sit his knee in between my legs. Now, at this point, I actually choose to let him do this. So I climb my guard a little bit higher. This makes it easier for him to do this. He sits down on his legs. Now, we are going to do the Gracie Steering Wheel Sweep variation. Gracie does this to almost everybody that puts his knee up. Now, I have maintained my closed guard, and I do that even if I don't have the longest legs, by climbing my legs a little bit higher. Now, I go to double sleeve control. And what I'm going to do is the same as the steering wheel sweep from the lesson number 2. I'm going to turn him with my legs. I'm going to drop this leg down, and I'm going to fold these across like a steering wheel. Now from this position, I start to work the top game and start passing. The third position is when my opponent just pops up and he has a really wide base. What I do from this position is now I transfer to a cross grip, I underhook this leg, and I swivel my body to this side. I now work to feed my cross grip to my underhooking hand right here. Now at this point, there's a lot of attacks that I can do. So my opponent, sensing the danger, collapses down in this instance. Back to square one. Now, the last situation is when my opponent manages to stand. Go ahead and stand, please. And once he's in this position, he puts his quads underneath your legs like this, killing such moves like the double ankle sweep. What I'm going to do is I'm going to transpose into the position that I just showed you. Cross grip, underhook. Now, I'm going to use my underhook to separate his knee from behind my butt here, like this. Once I've done this, my body's kind of, kind of turned, kind of torqued to the side. I can choose one of two things: to transpose completely to the position that we just did, going to this position, and he senses the danger and collapses. Or I can square up with him. Go ahead, back please. Or I can choose to square up with him, and sensing the danger from many attacks I can have from this position where both my hands are free, he collapses down. Obviously, not all opponents will collapse down, but if they're smart and they realize the danger, they will.